could not continue to do our filing of our taxes in the traditional sense that we've been doing for so many years. So we opted to go ahead and take the advice from one of our friends that went ahead and referred us. And since he referred us, we said, we decided let's go ahead and check Elite 8 out, and we're glad we did. They were extremely very thorough, so that's part of the excitement that we really enjoyed with Elite 8. So some of the parts of the values that we really enjoyed was that they were, beyond the fact that they were trustworthy, very thorough, extremely responsive, and the fact that we could do things online just the same that we were able to do in the traditional sense.
Get behind the shield.
Good morning. Welcome to Boss Talk Radio. This is your Boss Tax Tips section. When you come in, if you're watching us on either Facebook and or YouTube, when you come in, be sure to leave your name so I can shout you out appropriately. Tell me where you're from. Let us know where our reach is getting to. And if you're watching the playback, go ahead and hit hashtag replay so that we can see you later and know that you tuned in. So we're going to get into the tax tips today. I'm your host, George Dandridge Jr. I am an enrolled agent. What I do is solve tax problems. And the reason for today's video is to hope that I save a bunch of you from having a tax problem before you actually should have it. So we're going to talk about a few different things. Get your pens, get your paper, or hit record on your device or whatever, so you can have this segment. So the term of the week, when we get into that in another segment, is going to talk about the consequences of doing it yourself. But today we're going to talk about the consequence of fraud. You can find yourself involved in fraudulent activity unintentionally. You didn't set out to do this. In fact, you were nothing more than a innocent pawn in this activity. So I'm going to equip you guys with a few things. For those of you that are typically a do-it-yourselfer when it comes to handling your tax matters, this is not a good idea for the 2020 tax year. There are many things that are going on that you'll either miss out on or do wrong, because even this year so far, like as a lot of you know, the filing date has been pushed back to February 12th, unprecedented. But the thing is that even up to as recently as last week, some changes were still being made to current tax laws and everything. As unlike normal, when you have these things that typically affect, the next tax season, this has been a time where it affects this tax season. So we're going to cover a couple of those in the next few minutes and just kind of help you guys learn who to hire when you are out looking for a tax professional. There are some things that they just need to know. So the first one we're going to start with is, if you go to see a new tax professional in this year, somebody you have not worked with before, and they do not ask you for your 2019 tax return, that is a red flag. You need to run. You need to turn and go in the other direction. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why. So you have several different credits available to you for the first time, and they're relative to this season. One of those is going to be the Look Back EITC credit. This is going to save a lot of you a lot of money and help some of you that otherwise. Okay, so here's the EITC is the Earned Income Tax Credit. Many of you who typically see large refunds, it's largely due to a combination of the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. So the thing is, these are factors of your earnings, and there's a threshold that it caps out at, depending on your household structure, whether it's head of household, married, single, etc. But most people, a lot of Americans in 2020 had lower incomes because they were unable to work by no fault of their own. And so what this provision does is allow you to use your 2019 income to factor the credit. Now, this would obviously result in higher earned income tax credits or child tax credits for most Americans, but how it affects your return also, a lot of people got unemployment in 2020. This is unprecedented as well, because in addition to getting unemployment, you received kind of a bonus unemployment. I think it was $600 a week or $600 per pay period or something like that. And many of you did not elect for taxes to be taken out of this unemployment. Yes, unemployment is in fact taxable. And many of you did not elect to have taxes taken out. So what would happen is that when you file your taxes, taxes are now owed on these monies. And this, for many of you who were used to getting larger refunds, would reduce, if not eliminate, your refund or have you owe money for taxes. And so this is how the look back earned income tax credit can help you, because this is in fact something that's a factor of your income and it's refundable. And so it will offset many of your unemployment taxes. So if you received unemployment, number one, don't go run out and file your taxes before that document get there. You will get a document for your unemployment. The other part of that is right now, go ahead and find, if you don't know where it is, or download, depending on where you had it done at, get your 2019 tax return ready to submit with the rest of your documents. Some of the other stuff we have going on is we have the recovery rebate credit. This comes up quite frequently because most of the calls that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks have been from people who have not yet received their second stimulus check, in some cases their first stimulus check. Oftentimes this is associated with a bank product where someone elected to have payment for services taken out of their return, and the IRS sent payments to those banks or whatever who's working with the IRS to send it back. So most of you have heard by now that you should have your second stimulus no later than February 1st, or deposited February 1st, depending on your bank. You may not see it until February 3rd. This is one of the reasons that the tax filing season has been pushed back to February 12th, because the IRS wanted to allow time so that you don't double dip unintentionally, where a payment is on the way, but you file for the recovery rebate credit. But this is the refundable credit that you would use to get your first, second, or any portion of unpaid stimulus. I've had questions where people have asked, apparently there's like fractional payments happening or something. People are not getting the full amount. And my understanding at this point is that if you have not gotten the full amount, you will use the recovery rebate credit to get that additional amount that will, and it is refundable. So you'll it'll either increase your refund or decrease the amount of tax that you owe. Now let's get into my business folks. Some things that impact you guys directly. And again, if you have done your taxes yourself, you don't want to do that this year. And also, if your tax professional doesn't specialize in business matters, you may want to give that some consideration as well. So let's assume that you are self-employed. There is a credit out there for you guys. This is the sick leave and family leave for certain self-employed individuals. So who can claim this credit? You have to be self-employed and have been eligible for a paid sick leave or emergency paid family leave or whatever if you had worked for someone else, and under the Family and Medical Leave Act. As far as how much you will receive or whatever, that is based on what you would have been eligible for. We will put more information about that on our website under tax tools and tips by the end of the week, and to help you guys, kind of figure that out, whether or not you qualify. But you have to have been conducting trade or business as a self-employed individual and have to have been eligible for paid sick leave under the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act if you were an employee of, the employer or whatever, excuse me. So that's another thing that you guys don't want to overlook. Some of you have businesses that were completely unaffected by COVID. Others of you have had the type of service businesses that your business was shut down by no fault of your own, whether it was your city or state that shut down or whatever. You guys were not able to conduct business the way that you normally do. Then the next big one, this was an issue right up until I think first week of 2021. This one was big because as tax professionals, we weren't in a position to really advise you guys because there was no guidance coming from the IRS. So the big question was whether or not expenses paid with funds from the payroll protection program would be tax deductible. And the reason this was such a big question is because typically monies from grants and things like that, or when you pay expenses with those are not tax deductible. In this particular case, they went ahead and decided that, and here's what's key, wording is everything. So don't get caught up or crossed up in this. You have to be mindful of this. The forgivable portion, the key word there is forgivable, or as Brian Joubert liked to say, the non-paybackable part of the PPP program. That part that was forgiven, funds paid, expenses paid with those funds are actually tax deductible. So it's almost like you got to double dip because one, you got the funds that were that were forgiven, so you don't have to pay it back. And then two, the things that you bought with it for your business are now also tax deductible. So it's like basically I gave you $1 and you get to deduct that dollar off the other side. So that is huge. Don't miss out on that. Consult with the tax professional today to help you get ready for that. So if you are working with Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, I have a link on the screen that allows you to go ahead and complete an intake form. When we receive that, one of our agents will set you up with an encrypted portal, and in that portal, they will place instructions for what documents to upload, etc. And then once all of those things have been uploaded, someone will reach out, touch base with you to schedule an interview to get some other, background information and things of that nature to properly prepare your return. Appointments, if you are looking to make an appointment to talk with myself or someone on my team, you can use the link at the bottom of the screen. We will start doing tax returns a week from today. So January 27th. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I was just corrected. Actually, this Saturday is when we are starting. So January 23rd, we will start preparing returns. Now, you can have your return prepared in advance, but it cannot be filed, electronically filed, until February 12th. And also keep in mind, we are part of the beta testing for IRS's authorized e-filers. So some will be filed a few days earlier than that or what have you. But keep those dates in mind. We understand that most of these checks will start to roll out the last week of February, except for those people that have advances or whatever. We don't do the advances here at Elite 8. I understand that sometimes people need money and so forth and so on. We don't compete in that market space. I don't like the practices, the predatory practices of the banks or whatever involved on both the tax professionals and the taxpayer. So we don't engage in that. If you have any questions, you can reach us at 866-235-4838. That's 866-2-ELITE-8. And we will see you guys on actually later today for the boss term of the day. Thank you for tuning in.